I need some of y'all to really hear me when I say this. Don't raise your daughters to be servers. And I'm not talking about teaching your daughter how to cook. I'm not talking about teaching her how to clean. I'm not talking about teaching her how to take care of herself or contribute to her household. I'm talking about raising a little girl to believe that her purpose in the family is to serve everybody else. Serve her brothers, serve her father, serve her uncles, serve the men in the family, and somehow everybody else gets to sit down while your daughter is running around asking, what do you need? What can I get you? Did you eat? Do you want something? Do you want me to make you a plate? No. Because if you aren't careful, you can raise a daughter who becomes a woman who thinks love means service, femininity means self sacrifice, and being a good woman means making everybody else's life easier while hers gets harder, more stressful, and she is just burnt out. And I want to talk about this because there are so many women who are realizing this way too late. They're grown, they're exhausted, they're over functioning, they're taking care of everybody, and they don't even know how to sit down without feeling guilty. Now, that was me. I definitely couldn't sit down without feeling guilty. I felt like I had so much to do, just overstimulated. That's not the kind of woman I want us raising. I feel so much compassion for these little girls growing up. I want us raising them. I want us raising daughters who know how to contribute without becoming the family's unpaid help. And let's not forget that this job usually comes with no benefits and people start feeling entitled to your help, to your daughter's help. Let's start with something simple. If your son can make himself a plate, your daughter can make herself a plate. If your son can get his own drink, your daughter can get her own drink. If your son can put his dirty clothes in the hamper, your daughter can put hers in the hamper. If your son can wash his dishes, your daughter can wash hers. And if your daughter is old enough to clean the bathroom, your son is old enough to clean the bathroom too. Because we need to stop confusing life skills with female or feminine responsibilities. People love to say female. I really don't like to use that word because I feel like it's kind of, I don't know. I just don't like when men call women females. But they tend to they tend to confuse life skills with female responsibilities versus every male and female responsibilities. Everybody in the house needs to know how to cook. Everybody needs to know how to clean. Everybody needs to know how to do laundry. Everybody needs to know how to take care of themselves. That's not girl stuff, or as men would say, female stuff. That's being a functioning human being. And there are women online telling stories about growing up in households where the girls were expected to clean the house, clean their brothers' rooms, do the laundry, set the table, and help their mothers, while their brothers weren't held to the same standard. One young woman described being expected to do the housework while her brothers were literally in the other room playing video games. Another woman described being told by her father that it was her responsibility as a woman to cater to the family while her brothers were allowed to do whatever they wanted. And that is what I'm talking about. Because eventually that little girl grows up and now she's in a relationship and she's cooking for him. And what else? Cleaning for him, managing his schedule, reminding him about his own freaking appointments. She is buying his groceries, taking care of his children that probably not even hers, taking care of his emotions, anticipating his needs, and she is calling it love. Baby, y'all got to stop doing this. You didn't just learn how to love, you learn how to serve. And there is a difference. A lot of people also say they want women that had a dad because those dads are teaching these women, teaching their little girls how to not be combative, how to cater to a man, they're teaching their daughters how to get a husband or something. But I'm so glad I see a lot of other women that have grown up and they say their dads told them, uh-uh, you ain't finna be doing all that. They dad setting them down and told them how the tides have shifted. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I need you to stop making your daughters the mini mom though. Another thing I want parents to think about is how often daughters become the default helpers. Watch your little brother. Go make your brother something to eat. Help your brother clean his room. Go get your daddy this. Go fix your uncle a plate. Go see what your brothers need. And yes, older siblings can help younger siblings. That is normal. But if your daughter is constantly being positioned as the caretaker, as the female, I'm using air quotes. Y'all already know when I use the word female, I'm using air quotes. As the female caretaker, while your son is being positioned as the person who gets taken care of, you're teaching them two completely different lessons. You're teaching your daughter other people's needs come first. And you're teaching your son somebody else will take care of me. That's a terrible deal for both children because now your daughter grows up over responsible while your son grows up under responsible. And then everybody wants to act shocked when those dynamics follow them into adulthood. They don't come out of nowhere. We practice them at home. And daddy, this includes you too, men. Fathers, I'm talking to you. Because your daughter should not grow up thinking that being a good woman means catering to a man. Your daughter should not learn femininity through waiting on men, like she's their wait staff. Don't make her get up every time a man enters the room. Don't make her automatically fix every man's plate. There is no way in hell your daughter should be fixing an uncle's plate. She shouldn't even be fixing your plate. Y'all are grown men. Get up and fix her plate. She's a kid. Don't make your daughter responsible for keeping men comfortable. That's how grooming starts. And definitely don't tell her things like that's what women and little girls are supposed to do because your daughter is listening. She's building her understanding of what womanhood is. And if every example she sees of womanhood is a woman serving a man, she's going to internalize that. And let me tell you, sometimes daughters grow up and they resent you for that. Meanwhile, your son is watching too. He's learning what he should expect from women. Now there comes the entitlement. And this matters because research on gender socialization shows that children learn gender roles not only from what parents explicitly say, but from what they repeatedly see parents doing, including how household work is divided. So don't just tell your son to respect women. You need to be showing him that women aren't family servants. Teach him how to cook, teach him how to clean, teach him how to care for children. And women, if your son's dad isn't in their life, you do all this stuff, what I'm saying. Teach him how to notice what needs to be done without waiting for a woman to tell him. That gives me the ick so bad. Teach your son that if he lives in a house, he helps run that house. Because you know what's actually attractive in a grown man? Competence. A man who can take care of himself, a man who knows how to maintain his environment, a man who can feed himself, a man who can care for his children, a man who doesn't need a woman standing behind him like a personal assistant. That's what I want us raising. Teach your daughter to help without teaching her to disappear. And I want to make this distinction because I don't want anybody missing the point. I'm not telling you to raise selfish children. I'm not saying your daughter shouldn't help her family. Teach her generosity, teach her kindness and responsibility, teach her about community, teach her how to contribute, but also teach her that her needs matter too. She doesn't have to eat last. She doesn't have to always give up the better portion. She doesn't have to be the one who notices everything. She doesn't have to become everyone's emotional support system. She is a little girl. She doesn't have to sacrifice her free time because she's the girl. She doesn't have to become a little adult because she's the responsible one. And she definitely doesn't have to prove that she's a good daughter by exhausting herself. UNICEF makes this same distinction. Chores and caregiving aren't inherently bad, but the problem is when girls carry a disproportionate share while boys receive more time to rest, study, play, and develop. And let's be serious, them boys ain't studying. They probably studying how to play GTA 6 or something. Because your daughter deserves time to be a child, time to be a little girl. She deserves time to dream and to discover who she is. She deserves that time to be messy and loud and ambitious and curious and sometimes lazy, even silly. And that is completely human. She deserves to be a human. Her childhood should not be preparation for becoming somebody's wife and mother. So, if you're raising daughters, I want you to ask yourself something. Am I teaching my daughter how to take care of herself, or am I teaching her how to take care of everybody else? Because those are two completely different things. Teach her how to cook, but don't teach her that cooking is her job because she's a girl. Teach her how to clean, but don't teach her that she's responsible for everybody else's mess. Teach her how to care for people, but don't teach her that caring for people means abandoning herself. If you ain't got the energy, you just can't do it. And teach your sons the exact same thing, because I don't want our daughters growing up thinking a good woman makes herself useful to men. Absolutely not. I want the daughters thinking that they're a whole person and I'm contributing because I choose to. I care because I want to, and I never have to earn love by making myself useful. That's the lesson. Don't raise your daughters to be somebody's servant. Raise her to be somebody who knows how to serve herself first. Because I would much rather raise a daughter who knows how to say, I can help you, than one who has been conditioned to say, what can I do for you? Every time a man walks in the room. And while we're at it, raise your sons to be men who don't expect women to serve them. Because we're not raising daughters to become somebody's unpaid labor. We've got enough of that. We've seen our grandparents do it. Sometimes some of us have seen our great grandparents do it. And we definitely seen our mothers do it. We're raising women who know their value before somebody else tries to assign them one. This is Pretty Girl Rich Era, where we heal, level up, and become the best version of ourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, loves.